welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today I have another Bunnahabhain on the cask, and it's a very Gaelic name again. And I watched a documentary about peat now for about 10 minutes to find out how to pronounce it, because it was a Gaelic documentary how to cut peat. And unfortunately, they didn't start off with "today we are cutting peat," but something else. And I think I heard the word Moine in there. Very Moine. Very short, no E in the end. It's spelled Moine, but they mentioned Moine. Here on the bottle it says pronounced Moine. Moine. Okay. Not quite sure. If anybody speaks Gaelic, please write down in the comments who was right. The documentary that I didn't really confirm, or the pronunciation on the front of the bottle. And this bottling was created by the master distiller Ian MacMillan to create a whiskey that is like the whiskey back in 1881. How were the whiskeys back in the days? They were all really peaty because everything was done by peat smoke or burning peat. Not quite. These people back in the days, that peaty whiskey was really inflationary because they only had peat to heat with. So every whiskey was peaty. But they really were not aiming for such a peaty whiskey because peaty whiskeys were really everywhere. So they didn't burn the peat like we do it today, where you put water in it and try to get the maximum of peat smoke out of the fire. So they really were more interested in getting the heat out of the peat. So they burned it faster and not with any water. They dried it to get the most out of it. Although they still have a lot of peat in their malt back in the days. So they were probably all whiskeys were peaty. Some of them were more peaty, some of them were less peaty, and probably some distilleries really tried to produce a peaty whiskey because some people do like it. Back in the days, there must have been some people as well that did like it. So yeah, was all of the whiskey peaty like this? Nope, definitely not. But some of the whiskeys probably were. Yeah, everything else, it's a peaty whiskey, 46.3% ABV, first and second fill sherry, bourbon, and red wine casks. So really a mixture of all the casks, all the standard casks for maturing whiskey. And that is also really typical for back in the days, because back in the days, just as they get it, and they were using barrels rather as a means of transportation and storing, as a way of maturing the whiskey. So yeah, let's have a try. How is this Bunnahabhain Mòine or Mòine? Very peaty. And it's a beautiful, typical Islay peat smoke. It's very phenolic, medicinal, marine flavors. Beautiful. Typical. That exactly what I expected. Bit fresh in the glass. No sweetness, no fruitiness. Little bit of seaweed, little bit of grass. Can't find any sherry or bourbon character in here. It's a peaty, oaky type whiskey. Smoke, oak, and spiciness. And it's a distinct peppery spiciness. Do you know that feeling when you do your carbonara, spaghetti carbonara, and in the end you have to use fresh ground pepper and you just twist it a bit too much? Then you have too much pepper on your carbonara, you eat it anyway, and you have that flavor of that fresh ground pepper that's overwhelming you. That's very distinct in here. I like it. That's what you expect. A very rough and spicy, smoky whiskey from like back in the days. If they really were like that, I don't really care. I like to think of them like that. Rough guys from the 19th century, back in the 1880s. Yeah, with rough whiskey. I like it. But you have to be in the mood for it. I couldn't drink that like all evening long. That would be just too much for me to bear. But having 1 or 2 glasses is just amazing and a really exciting feeling. I love it. Just a very nice whiskey. It's not too cheap, but it's it's an inexpensive whiskey. It's not very expensive. It's around 35-ish, 40-ish, and it is an excellent whiskey. Unfortunately, no age statement, so a bit of a downer there. No color, no chill filtration, so 46.3% ABV. Except for the age, it has all the stats down. And for the age, it doesn't feel under-matured, but it's not old either. So something between 5 and 10, 8, something like that. There is not that much of a difference between a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old whiskey. Probably couldn't pick that up from the taste. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, then please feel free to share it with your friends, and see you next time.